The price of silver exploded last week, up nearly 7%. Gold had a strong week as well. Platinum had a strong week as well. Will this continue into the coming weeks, quarters, and months? You might be asking yourself that question. Have we turned the corner? Oh my God, we got a super chat. Snakebite, our friend, thank you. Never expected, always greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. Will we continue? Will we continue? Has the wind shifted? Tonight I have a special guest for you. Coin Shop Chris is going to be joining us. We're going to call him here in just a few minutes. Before we do that, I want to talk about something crazy, and I put out a video about this earlier this afternoon. Snakebite, thank you again, right? That means a lot, and it's greatly appreciated. Guys, when we think gold and silver, and we think, did we make a mistake putting our money into gold, putting our money into silver, platinum, palladium, whatever your metal of choice may be? Was it a mistake? Maybe we second guess ourselves. Look no further than what's going on with our government, okay? This is easy, and it's going to be quick, so stay with me. $32 trillion in debt. Okay, a massive pile of debt, 130% of GDP. No country's really ever come back from that. Okay, so that alone, $32 trillion in debt. Oh, on top of that, are they addressing it? Are they making it better? Are they getting rid of the debt? No. We're running massive deficits, massive deficits. The debt is growing, and we're spending more than we're bringing in, right? Think about that if that was you as an individual household. Now, where it gets even crazier, okay, is the fact that all that debt that is growing, also the interest expense related to it is going through the roof. The rates are going up. It'd be like if you had a $300,000 mortgage on your house at 3%, and it readjusted. We don't really have adjustable rate mortgages anymore, but if we did, suddenly your bank called and said, you know what, we need to redo your loan, and your new rate is going to be 6%. Thank you, Cool Ken TG. Another super chat. So we've got a situation. Thank you, okay? I'm going to say thank you a couple more times to you guys because that means a lot. But we got a situation in this country right now that is a death spiral. From a fiscal management, from a however you want to, whatever you want to call it, monetary management perspective, budgetary perspective, massive debt. We're still spending more than we bring in, and that's adding to that debt, and that debt, the interest, right? They're constantly having to roll over and refinance that interest. The rates are going up and up. They're saying now that within 12 months, the U.S. government could be spending over $1 trillion per year on interest expense alone. Because the rate on a lot of the debt was like at 2-3%. Now it's getting closer to 4%. It's out of this world. We're going to call Coin Shop Chris and check in with him. Thank you, Snakebite. Thank you, Cool Ken TG, for the super chats, guys. I appreciate you being here with me on a Saturday night. We love to talk about silver and gold, okay? I just got to revisit this one thing regarding silver as well. Then we're going to call Coin Shop Chris, okay? I was listening to the author of that book, The Great Silver Ball, Peter Carruth, talk about this. The Darn Silver Institute pointed out the last 2 years we've had a deficit in the silver market, okay? More silver was demanded than was being produced by the miners and by recycling. There's huge demand for silver. There's a deficit. There's not enough being produced. There needed 250 million more ounces last year alone than were produced by the mines. Guess what? During the last 2 years, that deficit wiped out the previous 11-year surpluses. Let's call our friend Coin Shop Chris. Let's see if we can get this technology working, because Chris has some important things to talk about with you and me. Okay, hold on here. Hold on. Is it working? I think it's calling him.
Mr. Ron.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
How's everybody doing?
Can everybody hear Coin Shop Chris? If you can, say 5 by 5, please. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing good. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we got a 5x5 from Neil. All right, Chris, let's dig right in. Let me ask you a question first, Chris. What do you think about this fact that last year we had 250 million more ounces of silver demanded than were produced? What does that tell us about the future for silver?
I think silver is draining very fast, so all we got to do is look at the COMEX and the LBMA. The votes are draining.
That's a great point, right? The big money on top of it all is taking silver away, right?
Exactly.
And you, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, you and I talked about this, and I talked about this with the executive from Silver Gold Bulls as well. Like when the price was down 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, big buyers were buying, right? We had I remember you had $1 million sale. And
That's right.
And the guy at Silver Gold Bull told me, he said, yeah, the small retail buyers weren't buying so much, but the big whales were buying monster boxes at a time during that period.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what about this? Let's start with number one, the coin you put up. Tell everybody the story.
I put a coin up, and Ron was nice enough to put it on his community page, and I hid the grade. But I'm going to give you all, if Neil or you, Ron, can type in the serial number, and everybody can look this up themselves on NGC.
Okay, I'll type it in.
The number is 4703198-003.
All right, we got it in there.
Okay. The coin graded as an MS63. This is from NGC, so if you want to check me, I own this coin. There was a lot of good feedback. The point of all that was to try to educate people is, even though NGC, PGS, Annex grade the coin, it don't necessarily mean it's that great. I think NGC dropped the ball on this coin, and if people want to check the coin out, on the back of it, it's got a lot of dirt marks, I will call them, to be nice. I really think NGC dropped the ball on this particular coin.
So did it get dirty, Chris, because you'd be eating a bunch of Oreo cookies and then smeared your fingers on it?
Well, it kind of has to do that because it's sealed. So it graded as an MS63. How in the heck did it grade an MS63 is beyond me.
Okay, I should have known better than to make a joke about coin grading with you. And the point, let me ask you a question, Chris. Is the important point on this being that unless you know what you're doing, which I don't, okay? I don't know anything about grading coins. Buying numismatic coins, unless you really know what you're doing or are working with someone who you can really trust, can be a risky proposition. Is that a safe statement?
Exactly. When I was sick a few weeks back, there was a coin show where I lived, and I actually gave to one of the girls that works with us. She went around with the coin shop. I mean, not the coin shop, the coin show. She covered the grade. Most of the coin dealers agreed it come back between AU55 and AU58. And that's where I would kind of put this coin grade.
Mm-hmm.
But, coin grading is so subjective. There was one comment in there. I kind of, helped this one person out. He was saying he's got a bunch of coins saying, to get grading, but, common date coins, this one, NGC says it's $25. Well, to grade it, it's going to cost you $30 plus postage both ways. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
If anybody has a coin that wants to get graded, I would ask, go to a coin show, go to coin shops, ask them their opinion, and get several opinions before you even send it in. That is my recommendation.
Okay. All right. What about this? What about this person? Anything you want to say about her?
What person?
You can't see the screen. I've got a wanted sign for this fugitive named Belle Star. Rumble.
I'm glad you brought her up because you and Belle Star had an excellent interview.
Yeah.
I was really, really impressed with her. If she's listening, I know Buddy's working to this tonight. But Belle Star, thank you. If you have not yet watched that video, after the live stream, please spend 30 minutes when you have time or so. It's about 34 minutes long. It's really worth the time. She really explains a lot in detail. And it's very good to see a lot more females coming on board.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see some of the females that come in all the time on your channel, Ron. They're always in your live streams. They're always in their comments. It's just wonderful to see that.
It is on many levels, because when I first got into silver and gold, it really felt like a boys' club. And it's great that we have women now becoming more and more interested in stacking, and it's more, it just adds to the community, and it adds more people that are realizing the value of precious metals.
Bingo. Yes. I mean, I see a lot more females come in, and I'm willing to help anybody. I don't care if you're male or female, whatever. We take the time with everybody to explain, trying to help them out to find the best fit for their needs.
That's right.
I mean, and it's difficult when you and I made that video on how much silver to own. Yes, we got some negative feedback on it. That was just a guide, an average guide. That's not going to work for everybody. I want to make that clear. That's not going to work for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a guide. I mean, because, I don't want to get in people's financial business on 101 because, everything can change 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road. I mean, everything's changing all the time. That was just a guide for people to think about.
Yep, absolutely.
That's what video was really supposed to be about.
Yep. What about the trolls, Chris? I got somebody in the comment section here asking about my Ernie puppet. I'm going to go grab that. Why don't you tell? I think you had something you wanted to say to the trolls out there.
Well, we had to boot one tonight, Ron. I'll tell you about that one later. But there's a few people in here on your live stream now knows about that one because it was before you came on live. We had to boot one. If you guys, not everybody, if there are some trolls in here, if you're going to be disrespectful, Neil has the power to boot you. I got the power to boot you.
Yeah, you know what Ernie says to people that are disrespectful? I didn't do that. I don't know. Somehow his finger. Anyway.
The point is, it's okay to disagree, but disagree in a positive way. Instead of calling someone a name, or if Ron has a guest on and his name calling with the guest, I'm just going to delete your comment.
Yeah.
Will just delete your comment. Susie's, your wife, Ron, has power. You got the power to do it. Let's try to be respectful to one another.
Yeah.
And there was one comment on one of your videos that you put out today, Ron, and you were talking about food shortage, and this guy is called Ammo Master. That's the screen name. And you were talking about food shortages. And he says, well, we can just go to McDonald's and get follow food from McDonald's. And I kind of replied back, well, I mean, that may not be the smartest move. Then he talked about Jack in the Box. Let's go to Jack in the Box. I mean, he was just being a troll.
Yeah.
And, and I said, well, if you think, where do you think the restaurants are going to get the food if we really do have a major food shortage? And he said the pink meat factory.
Right.
I mean, stuff like that. I mean, if someone's going to have their head stuck in the sand so bad, just go watch cartoons, please.
Go watch Roadrunner.
And go watch cartoons.
Well,
yeah, go watch your Roadrunner. And I got another one, Ron. Go to Walmart and go buy yourself the game Candyland and have a good time.
Yeah, well, I want to make it very clear. I don't expect everybody to agree with me. Actually, I encourage people to disagree with me or disagree with each other because that's how we can learn, right? I mean, look, if I just stick with everything that goes through my brain, I'm not going to make much progress. So I'm always open to considering other perspectives and other points of view, but if you're going to be mean, and you can make fun of me, right? Like I get made fun of, when I first started making videos, I never blinked and people would say, are you a robot? Are you this? And Susie would laugh and ha ha ha. And it was funny. And I didn't care. I'm like, yeah, I'm a robot. I'm artificial intelligence. But don't cross the line and say like really offensive, mean things. That's, it's okay to poke fun, and you can disagree with me. You can poke fun at me. You can whatever, but especially when it comes to each other, and especially my guests that are on the show, I have very little tolerance for meanness. So what about, Chris, what about 90% silver? You wanted to talk to the people about the best way to sell 90% silver.
Yeah, if you're going to sell 90% silver, Ron, we tried to tell people it's better to put it by the decades of the coin. Like keep your Franklins, all your 40 Franklins in the same group. Your walkings in the your walking halves or the 50-cent pieces also. Keep the 40s together, keep your 30s together, and the coin shops might even pay you more that way, because if you don't do it that way, you jump a big bag down, they're going to pay you one price. They might count it, they might give you it by weight. I hate coin shops that pay by weight. It should be per face. I think people really get taken when you get paid by weight. Coin shops more apt to pay you more if you put your quarters by decades, and keep if there's an overlapping year between two style coins, keep those coins separate. Like your Mercury dimes, your Walking Liberty quarters, your Roosevelt dimes. Keep the decades in little bags, wherever you want to keep, however you want to store them, in tubes or whatever. But you're probably apt to get more if you do it that way. And I'll give you a quick little story. I had a woman probably about 6 months ago, gave me a whole bag of walking halves. And I told her it might be better for you to put them by decade, because we're looking for certain years, different mint marks, and we can go through that one bag you have instead of going through 1,000 different coins.
Yeah.
And technically, I didn't have to call this woman back, Ron. But she had, on the bottom of the bag, she probably had no idea it was even in there. She had a 1921D walking, and this thing was beautiful. So I took a snapshot of it. I sent it to some other coin shops, because I'm not a professional grader. There's nobody really is a professional grader, and I'm thinking it's going to come back as an AU 58. Well, at an AU 58, Ron, this thing booked for about $9,300.
Whoa.
So I called the woman back. She wanted to trade it for gold at the time. I called the woman back, and I said, I need you to come in here. I want you to look at this coin that was in your bag. Now, legally, we didn't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want nothing else. She said, no, but we're honest. And I said to her, we can send this in, get this graded. I would recommend you can get this graded. I said, I'm thinking to come by as an AU 58. Some other shops said MS 60. Well, it came back as an MS 57. So we're right around $8,900 for this particular coin.
Wow.
Somewhere right in there.
Wow.
And she was almost in tears, Ron.
I bet, yeah. And you can sleep at night. It's important to be able to sleep at night, correct?
Absolutely. So she said, well, how much are you going to give me for it? I said, I need to make $300 off you.
Right.
So I said, you want to trade it for gold? We can do half gold, half cash, or whatever you want. Well, she traded for gold. She was tickled pink. Shop made a little bit of money off her with that transaction.
Yeah.
But she recommends people to come to us now.
Yo, I bet she does. That's
how you run a business, and an honest business.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and
talk is cheap, right? Talk is cheap, but actions, honest actions every day pay off, no doubt about it. And that's a wonderful story. I want to tell you a story. Can I tell you a quick story, Chris?
Absolutely, Ron.
There were so many times, Chris, over the last 2 years, right? And I've been investing in silver and gold and the mining stocks for decades. But over the last 2 years, where it seems like the gold and silver price start to do well, start to pick up, right? And then the rug gets pulled. I mean, I remember, waking up in the morning thinking, all right, things are looking better. Things are looking good for silver and gold. And boom, the rug gets pulled, right? And a lot of times what it was the Fed over the last couple of years. It was the Federal Reserve. And a lot of times it was this Fed governor in St. Louis who was known as the Super Hawk. Thank you, Clifton Moberg, for the super chat. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Yeah, I super appreciate a super chat. Thank you. But a lot of times it was, what would happen is this Fed governor in St. Louis, James Bullard, would talk something. He would speak in the most hawkish, tight money terms, and it would send the price of gold plummeting, the price of silver plummeting, the price of platinum plummeting. And you know what happened, Chris? Were you a fan of James Bullard, by the way? Did you like him? This Fed governor here?
I'm not a fan of any government official, Ron. Let's just put it that way.
James Bullard announced on Friday that he's retiring. Thank God. Okay, and Chris, he also said he is not going to participate in the next monetary policy meeting, the one coming up in July. And, my little conspiracy theory antennas are going up. I think we're still going to get a rate increase, but I think it's very strange that he announced an abrupt retirement and that he's not going to participate. He's going to go off and be the president of the business school at Purdue University or something like that. So I've got a big announcement I need to make, Chris, and I hate to spring this on you, but there's a chance that I might have to end Ron's Basement YouTube channel. I don't want to do it. I hope I don't have to do it, but there's a chance I might have to do that, Chris.
I'm not worried about it, Ryan. You ain't going nowhere.
You're not playing along with me. Well, because
I'm not playing along with you on that one.
Well,
everybody loves 99.9% of the viewers love you, Ron.
Because I just have a feeling that they're gonna tap me to be the next Fed governor for the St. Louis Fed now that Bullard's gone. So maybe I'll make a deal. I'll tell you this.
What? If you get that job, I'll take over your channel.
Chris's Basement. I'll say, I'll take the job as the Fed governor for St. Louis. And you know what I'll do every time I talk? I'll be like, hey, we're screwed. I'm just going to print money to infinity. I'm going to tell the truth, right? But I'll tell them I'll only take the job if I can be your guest.
I'll come up to St. Louis. I'll be in your basement, and then I'll get you on. And I'll bring you back in your own house and get you on live. Silvershire says, just one more reason not to be a Purdue fan. Snakebite says, don't do it, Ron. I know where you live. Yeah, that's right. Snakebite can come visit me down at the Fed. The Fed, we'll get off this subject. The Fed building downtown St. Louis looks like a haunted castle. One day I was walking, I don't go downtown very often. I'm like, what's this place? And it's a Federal Reserve Bank. I'm like, oh, that figures. Right. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here. Everybody can tap the like. We need to hear the bells, guys.
Oh yeah, when we get to 100 thumbs up. I haven't begged you guys either.
Guess what? That's free. Subscribing's free. Hitting the like is free. And sharing is free. The more we do this, the more we can get Ron's Basement out there, and the more family that we can get.
That's right. It's all free, unless you decide to do a super chat, which is always super appreciated, including Snakebite, Clifton, Moberg, and Coolkin TG. Thank you, guys. Never expected, always super appreciated, and trust me, it goes a long way in buying slushies and everything else my kids beg for every day. Chris. Oh,
before we move on to the next few things we got left, John. When you all say hi to me in the comments, I try to reply back to every single one of you. But once we're on live, that's very hard for me to keep up.
Yeah.
If I miss you or if Neil misses you, we're not doing that intentionally. We try our best to keep up with all the comments.
Yeah, we care about everybody that's here. What's the update on the silver, gold, and platinum price, Chris?
Absolutely. Over the last 30 days. Now, I always do 30 days back. Silver was up $1.09 or 4.52%. So we're actually positive now this week in the last 30 days for silver. Gold's been flat this week. Over the last 30 days, gold is actually down $4.50, or 0.23%. Platinum over the last 30 days is actually up $2.10, or 0.21%. Now that is I see Neil put it this past week. Platinum was up over 6%, but I normally do the last 30 days. So platinum's on its move, silver's on its move, gold's staying flat for some reason. And we will turn to our friend Bitcoin. I don't even like to talk about
I love you. Love Bitcoin. That's all you talk about. It's Bitcoin.
Unicorn fat dust. That was actually up over the last 30 days, 4,359.56, or 16.82%.
Wow.
How's that happening? I don't know.
I'll tell you what's going on. Vince Lachey was talking with Peter Grandich. I'll tell you what's going on. All the big institutions, BlackRock included, Fidelity, Vanguard, even Citadel. Thank you, Doug Baker, for the super chat. Awesome. I appreciate it. All these big institutions.
Thank you.
BlackRock in particular is the most recent. BlackRock's the biggest institutional investor in the world. They did also buy a bunch of PSLV, coincidentally, physical silver, not too long ago. But they're wanting to start a Bitcoin ETF. And everybody's like, what a joke. The guy that runs the company, his name's Larry Fink. He's been going on for the last 2 weeks on all the big Bloomberg and CNBC and all that, and talking about how Bitcoin's the new gold and Bitcoin's the wave of the future. Just like a year or 2 years ago, the guy's on camera saying Bitcoin's a joke, Bitcoin's a fraud. And this is what, and I'm not putting words into Vince Lachey is a smart guy. He's on Arcadia quite often. This guy's no BS smart dude. He's like, basically, you got to realize if they're not interested in what's best in terms of the best investments, best thing for their what they're interested in is selling things. So suddenly, because Larry Fink can make a buck off Bitcoin, he's become a Bitcoin evangelist, and he's a powerful guy. BlackRock's a big, powerful company. So when he's out there, ringing the bell for Bitcoin, and that's what Vince Lachey said. He said, basically what he said was, I'm bullish on Bitcoin for the next 6 months. He said, but as soon as they get this Bitcoin ETF launched, he said, it's done. He said, get out of it. So anyway, that hopefully gives people a little idea. Bitcoin is a competitor to gold and silver and platinum. There's no doubt about it. Okay. But in the end, it's nothing. It's like a Ponzi. I'm sorry. I know, but that's the way I see it.
Well, Ryan, you're not a Bitcoin channel. If people get offended, they can go watch a Bitcoin channel.
That's right. They can go watch Roadrunner or Bitcoin, whatever they prefer.
And go buy yourself the game called Candyland. Just exactly.
Or like Neil said, Neil's got some great platinum videos, but he's got some awesome cat videos too. Go watch some of Neil's cat videos. Neil has some cool cats.
Please, everybody, go if you really want to learn more about platinum. Me personally, I don't like being called an expert, because there's not an expert in anything. I'm not calling Neil an expert, but he knows a lot more about platinum than I do. So please, if you want to learn more about platinum, I'm not the guy for it. Ron's probably not the guy for it. Neil Hahn, Dynasty, he's the guru for it.
Yeah. Yes.
So thank you, Neil, for helping out. Neil, I talked to you off camera many, many times. Neil, you're a great guy. Ron, you're a great guy. There's a lot of good people that view you, Ron. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for the comments. I read most of the comments. I get some emails from you guys to Ron. You guys are wonderful.
Yeah. So, Chris, I have a question for you. We've talked about food shortages, right? We know the crop yields are coming down. There could be food shortages. The CEO of Conagra was out last week talking about the fact that people are buying less food. He said there's a big difference between what we'd seen in the past, where people were trading down, right? They were going from more expensive food items to less expensive food items. Now people are just plain buying less food. And the article I read even went on to mention that now there's this new wave taking over the internet. It's called dollar store dining. People can't afford to buy their groceries at Walmart even anymore, or Aldi. So they're going to the dollar store, right? And buying their food at the dollar store and coming up with different dinner ideas. And I don't know about the quality of food at the dollar store. I maybe have bought a few things. I buy a lot of candy at the dollar store. And I like to buy, what else? My deodorant, my shampoo. But anyway, nonetheless, people are buying their food at the dollar store dining. They're also talking about this other trend, dumpster dining, where people are like hanging out behind restaurants to try to get the food that they throw out at the end of the night so they have something to eat. And I thought I wanted to ask you, because I know, Chris, that you love Applebee's. I know Applebee's is like your favorite restaurant, like die and go to heaven. Would you rather eat out of a dumpster or eat at Applebee's?
Well, as much as I dislike Applebee's, I'd rather eat at Applebee's. That's where we're coming to, Ron. I mean, dude, it's either people have stocked up and are going through some of their supplies now because it keeps rising. The food cost keeps rising, and people are not just dumpster diving, which is sad.
Yeah.
Which breaks my heart, to hear that. I knew about the Dollar Tree thing, but I did not catch the people are actually dumpster diving for food, and that's really, really sad. And then we had people going in robbing stuff. Not at ammo point, but they're going in. Why do we have to lock up Ben and Jerry's ice cream with a lock device on it? Because people are taking it.
Right.
This is why parts of California, San Francisco, Los Angeles, they're shutting down their stores because there's too much stuff.
Yeah.
This is what the United States have come to be with stealing and with dumpster diving. And if you can afford to get a couple extra cans a week, and this is what I was trying to tell this animal master, if you can afford to buy a couple extra cans a week, get what you eat anyways, and put back, and then just have a rotation stock. It's not going to hurt because you're going to use it anyways. And my thing is, you eat tomorrow or next week at today's prices. So in the long run, you're saving money. You spend more cash up front, but in the long run, if you stock 6 months of canned goods ahead, we don't know what's going to be in 6 months from now. We don't know what's going to be a year from now.
Somebody in the comments asked who I'm talking to. I'm not talking to myself. I'm talking to, if you don't know who this guy, the world famous coin shop Chris. He's a regular guest on my show, or a weekly guest on the show. So this is the world famous coin shop Chris, for those of you who may not be paying attention. Speaking of which, I wasn't paying attention. We hit 100 thumbs up, Chris. Can I ring the bell real quickly? Do you mind?
Absolutely.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, we got that done.
Now, can we get to 200 likes for the cowbell? I always like the cowbell, Ron.
Yeah, the cowbell. Here's the cowbell. 200.
So if we can get 200 likes, it's free to tap the like. I don't give you tap it with your nose.
Oh, yep. Broken nose, yeah. So another question for you, Chris. We had a really great week for silver. Is it going to hold up, or are we going to see? Is it going to crash next week? Are we going to get some bearish news, pullback, or do you see that maybe we're moving into a new era? We sure floated around and built a pretty good base in that 22, 23 range. Do you think we are preparing for liftoff with silver? There's no silver at the COMEX. There's no silver at the LBMA. The Chinese are gobbling up all the silver they can get. And I got one more super crazy. I learned this week, and I'm embarrassed I didn't know this, but it blew my mind. I want to point out to you as well. But first, I want to hear from you. Are we in liftoff phase for silver? Rocket ship, sassy silver, yes.
I don't think we're there quite yet.
Uh-oh.
I would be looking, maybe not this week. We might get, it's hard to say, Ron. We might get to 25.75 this week.
Yeah.
And then I would be looking for a small pullback, maybe back to 25. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get bad advice. I mean, if we see a dip, you might want to stop buying that dip then. I like to try to, I have a threshold.
Yeah.
If you can get an ounce of silver right now for $30 less, and if you live in a tax state and it's $30 less with taxes and shipping, it's a steal.
Yeah.
It don't matter if we have $22 silver, $25 silver. We talked a few weeks back ago, Ron. We were talking about the Horace's bars for bullion exchanges, and I said they were $2.59. Well, today they're $2.75.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they gone up that much in just in a couple weeks.
Yep. That would have been a good buy. It's so hard for people to buy. When you were talking about it, $2.59 for a 10-ounce bar, and I always like to say there's like two little silver people, one-on-one, the good silver guy and the bad silver guy, and the good silver guy, when the price is down, is saying now's the time to buy, right? Even though it doesn't feel good, it's the time to buy. And I got to give you credit because you were buying through that whole period, right? And then
I was buying. Right now, I'm not really touching too much 1-ounce stuff. I'm trying to. I'm back on the 90% and 40%. I'm able to get. If you're able to get 90% for 18 to 20 times space, get it. If you can afford to get it.
Yeah.
40%ers, Ron. I was getting for $340 2 weeks ago online on eBay. They're worth about $364, $368, whatever it is now each.
Yeah. Well,
I've only, right now I'm in the plus on a lot of that 40%. That I've just recently got. You're in the plus with some of your 40% that you got.
Yep.
So if we get it on the way down and if it drops more, and if you can afford to get a little bit more, only if you can afford to.
Yeah.
And it starts going up, watch it for a day or so. If it goes up a little bit more, if you can get it on the $30 or under, it don't matter where it's at.
Right.
It really don't, because I think most of your viewers are on. No, it's going about 30. I mean, that's what I'm seeing in the comments, and I think most people can agree with that. I don't think we're going to see a pullback to 22. I'm looking at if it goes 26.50 and above, I think we have lift off at that point.
Yeah. Well,
26.50.
Let me, and I promise this will be the last time I read this, but to me, this isn't even the astounding fact that I mentioned. I'm going to mention that still later on when it comes to silver, but this is nearly as astounding, and I've read this a few times. This is from ANZ, which is the Australia New Zealand Bank. It's the second biggest bank in Australia. It's like the Bank of America of Australia, talking about demand for silver from the solar industry. I have the hiccups. It says this year, China is expected to add nearly as much solar capacity as the total installed capacity in the U.S. So in just this year alone, China is going to add as much solar in 1 year as the entire United States has right now. Then it goes on to say, by 2025, so 2 years from now, ANZ Bank expects industrial demand for silver from solar to make up 53% of total demand. This will place increasing pressures on supplies. That's our friend silver. I mean, does that blow you away, Chris, when you hear that?
It does. I mean, what does that tell you? What does that tell everybody? It's going to go up eventually.
That's just solar. Yeah, that's just solar. That's just solar demand. That doesn't include electronics, batteries, defense industry, investors. It's crazy.
And none of that calls for Bitcoin.
No, none of it. Yeah, there's no Bitcoin in electronics. No, I mean it's just very, very optimistic. And I'll mention this Vince Lachey guy one more time. He said, "I'm starting to see more analysts, more professional coverage on the world of silver and on the developments of silver. I'm so excited. I got the hiccups. I'm sorry. Bear with me. I don't know. It's just, it feels like we're in the process of making a big turn in the world of silver. Let me say one more thing this bank said. It says, we estimate the silver market is entering a period of tightness unseen for decades. This may not be alleviated by higher silver prices because they can't just make more silver. They can't mine more silver. It takes 10 or 15 years. So, I don't know.
Exactly, yes. And you can't print silver, gold, or platinum.
No.
So,
No.
I mean, that's the thing. But I do have the small little deal of the week. So one of your viewers asked me to do silver buffaloes.
Okay.
And I did that this week, Ron. And silver buffaloes is kind of a hard one to do apples to apples with because, some people think the U.S. Mint makes them. No, the U.S. Mint does not make a silver buffalo. They make a gold buffalo. But there's a lot of private mints that do different types of buffaloes. So the pricing is all over the chart. So I had to zoom into one particular company who made them. And this is the Atashi buffalo. Same style. There are cheaper buffaloes, what I'm going to announce, from the Atashi mint, but I had to try to compare for apples to apples. Pinehurst Coins on eBay had them, this is a 2x20 for $567.67. Mm-hmm. Liberty Coin was not far off. They were kind of within price range. They were $569.71.
Okay.
Over at Bullion Exchanges, they had them for $557.40. Over Hero Bullion, they had them for $571.12.
Okay.
Yes, there are cheaper buffaloes out there. It just depends with what mint you want. They're all about the same. It's all 399. Some are 499s. Golden State Mint makes them. Sunshine Mint makes them. I mean, there's a bunch of different mints. It's the most common round out there is the most recognized round out there would be the silver buffalo.
Right. And what kind of price variance did you see on that Asahi mint? What was the lowest to the highest?
The highest was $571.
Uh-huh.
The lowest was $567.67.
Okay, so not too big of a variance on that, seems like.
Not too big of a variance on this one, but other buffaloes, I've seen other buffaloes from different mints are higher.
Yeah.
And I've seen other buffaloes lower.
Yeah. Are you wearing socks right now, Chris?
I got bare feet, Ron.
Okay. Well, if you had socks on, I'm going to knock your socks off with something about silver, something that shocked me, and I want to get your opinion on this, and I want to hear in the comment section too. I want to hear yes, you knew this, or no, you didn't, because this is another fact about silver that I was astounded when I read this. That in terms of above ground, let's talk about gold first. All the gold that's ever been mined in the history of the world, most of it is still in existence above ground, right? It's in Coin Shop Chris's garage. It's in Fort Knox. It's in people's houses. It's in safety deposit boxes. It's in jewelry, whatever. Most all the gold ever mined is still above ground.
And yours is buried in your backyard.
Right, mine's buried in my backyard. I'm not a gold guy. Silver, though. I do have some silver, right? This stuff right here, all the silver that's ever been mined, a lot of it's been consumed by industry, whatever the case may be. In terms of the silver that's above ground right now, here in my basement, this 1 ounce Krugerrand, whatever you may have, whatever anybody listening may have, you add up all that silver that's above ground, right? That's in stockpiles at the COMEX and the LBMA, whatever. The statistic I read, now this was from 2017, right? Was that it was about a third of the gold. Okay, there's the total number of ounces of silver that's above ground right now is about a third to a half of the gold that's above ground. Yet, Gold, which there's more of above ground, is 85, 82, whatever the silver to gold ratio is right now. That just blew me away. I had no idea that there was that much more gold right now. Like, there's not much silver above ground right now in the Earth's crust. I think it's it occurs either, I think, 17 or 19 times more frequently. It's mined on an annual basis at, like, there's 9 ounces of silver for each ounce of gold. But did you guys know that, right? Did you know that 78 to 1 is the new prep? Thank you for that information. Is that right? And so this was from 2017, so 5 years ago. And my thought was maybe that relationship has even gone more extreme because we've had this deficit in silver over the last few years. Silver is rare. Silver above ground that's available is actually rarer than gold, yet gold costs 78 times more. Does that make any sense? Right? Did you guys...
It makes no sense, and I did not know that. We all got to stop and think. There's some people that don't like 40%, and I'm going to say two things on that. One thing on 40%, people might want half the 40%. Because that's still 7 of them makes an ounce.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, and they don't, and they really, it's like 5 to 6% over melt value, and sometimes you can get them from melt value, or a little bit even less. Depending where you're getting them from. On eBay with good sellers, they're selling them pretty cheap right now.
Right.
What are we gonna do when silver does go to the roof? Are we gonna stop mining the landfills?
Yep. Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Really,
right. Oh yeah.
There's only two. I think Neil said this to me. Neil, if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. I believe he said there's only about 2.5 ounces of silver for every human being on Earth. So if anybody has more than 2.5 ounces of silver, somebody's not going to get their silver.
No. I had a viewer or a subscriber send me an email, and that's what his number. He said the estimates are between 2 and 3 ounces of silver per human. Okay, so that would average out obviously to be 2.5. So if you've got more than 2.5 ounces of silver, you're doing better than average, right? And I think with gold, it's like 25 grams, which is a little less than an ounce, if I have that correct, Chris?
Yes, a little less than an ounce, 31 grams in a troy ounce.
Yeah, so, look, here we are on a Saturday night. We're all hanging around together talking about silver and gold. And by the way, I appreciate you being here. It means a lot. Thumbs up does help. If you give this video a thumbs up, this live stream a thumbs up, that helps get the word out. And subscribing, as Chris said earlier, is free. But guys, we are above average. I imagine most of you have more than 2.5 ounces of silver. I'll be honest, right? I don't brag I do have more than 2.5 ounces. And I imagine you do too, Chris. At least. There's just not a lot of it to go around. Let me ask you this question. I get this all the time from people. Do you think that the United States actually has this 8,000 tons of gold at Fort Knox? Are you a believer in that?
We talked about this a few weeks ago. I don't believe it at all, Ron.
No?
I mean, I would love to see, if we do have it, why they can't take actual U.S. citizens and charge them X amount of dollars and say, come see your gold. Yeah,
right.
It's because it's not the government's gold, it's our gold.
Yeah.
And until that happens, I don't believe the government. Look what Janet Yellen said. Inflation was transitory. Well, we all know that's a bunch of BS.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the government lies, Ron. We all know that. I mean, until we see it for ourselves, I don't buy it.
Yeah, I know. I think we'd like to believe that the government's honest with us, right? And we were kind of taught as kids, the government's honest and, United States, and we have this. But the reality is, why haven't they really made any material moved. The last person that supposedly saw it was that creepy dude Mnuchin, who used to work for Goldman Sachs and was the what was he, the Treasury Secretary or something? That guy creeped me out. He tweeted that I'm at Fort Knox and the gold's all here. Okay, yeah, sure, we trust you, right? Sure, I mean, there's really been no real material proof offered to the world or to the U.S. citizens that it is actually there. If I had to bet my life on it, I'd probably go with yes, it's there. But why don't you guys tell us in the comment section, yes, it's there, or no, it's not? And I'll read out your name as you answer. I think it's important. It's an important subject to a lot of people. Okay, you're a worker bee. Freddie R., way to go. Freddie Rodriguez, no. Matt says no. Let's go. Snakebite wants 200 thumbs up. Yes, we want our 200 thumbs up. Best Price Buffalo, no, says Casey Jones. Sassy Silver, no. Wish we could show pics. Yeah, no, it's not there, Joe Fallon. Judith and Dan Davis says no. Nada says Coffee Bean. Mike Davis says no. Jeremy Bullock says no. Boy, I think it's pretty unanimous. No, not there, says Clifton. Jim Tillapa, good to see you. No, it's all gone. 147 million ounces. Thumbs up. Is that the math? Is that 147 million ounces of gold? I don't know. Frostino Roca, no. Paul K, no. Matt Tyndall, no. C130, yeah, it is. Andrew McKelvin, no. Silvermish. Magic 8 Ball, no. TD, no. Oh boy, you guys are cracking me up. Mexico's going to mine out of silver. Salty Monkey, no. Captain Dino Man, no. Fast Landing, no. Gabby, meow. Dwayne Dibley. Germany asked for their 300 tons, and it took 700 years to repatriate it. That's interesting, Dwayne. I'm going to come back to that. Chili says no. Chill Lil says no. Silver Shire says yes, but not pure LBMA quality gold. Very interesting. Dwayne says no. Paul says no. Paul McKellick. Tempest says nope. C130, no way, Jose. Good to see you, C130. My mystery guest says nope. Gold and lead, says Mike Davis. Yeah, that's interesting. I do not see 27. Yes, it's there. And then he says, laugh out loud. Somebody brought up the fact that Germany repatriated, 300 tons not too long ago, and it took 7 years for the government to get it back. There was also a big story this week about the trend going on right now in the world where countries are, repatriating their gold. They're all basically going back to the motto of, if we don't hold it, we don't own it. And countries are sucking their gold back from London, from New York primarily, bringing it back onshore to their homeland because they want to hold it. Interesting things are going on in the world right now.
Exactly. And it's just, it's just crazy times we living on. And, I would actually like, talking about this gold in Fort Knox, like I said, I would love them to open it up. And I would pay the $35, let's say $50, have a tour and see if it's actually there.
Yeah.
And maybe when so many people actually see it's there, more people will believe it. It might even be worth the small fee to see it.
Yeah, and if it belongs to the United States, it belongs to the U.S. citizenry. We should be able to see it.
Right.
Right?
Exactly. I remember years ago, and I don't know if this is still there, but I was in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I went to the Horseshoe this casino.
Uh-huh.
And they had $100 on the wall, $100 bills, $1 million worth behind glass doors. And you were able to see that, all that cash, behind that glass. And as you walk into the casino on your right-hand side, I remember this, and this was going years back when the slot machines actually paid coinage back. So we were going back, I think it was pre-9/11 that I actually was there.
Was this like the 1940s?
No, I'm not that old, Ron.
Okay.
I'm actually 10 younger than you, so I guess who's the old buck?
All right. Go ahead.
So, I was able to see that. So that was proof that was there.
Wow.
So I mean, if the government don't want us to see it, then it's probably not there.
Yeah.
Prove it to us. I mean, I don't. Why not select like 500 people, the first 500 people to sign up for a tour, and they can actually take pictures of it and put it online.
Yeah. If it's there, you just have to wonder, like, why aren't you letting people see it, right? Why aren't you allowing people in to see this gold, this silver? Chris, thanks for. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that. I'm going to let you go. Just like you said, it's not the government's gold; it's the people's gold.
Yeah.
And the government thinks the White House is their White House, and all these government buildings is theirs. No, it's the people's. Our tax money pay for this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
Yep.
I'll let you go before I really rant on.
You're doing great, Chris. I'm going to sign off anyway. Let's stay on here. We'll say goodbye to everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for the super chats. You guys were super generous. It really is appreciated. I do a few sponsorships from time to time, but this is basically a viewer supported channel. So thank you.
We got 200 likes on.
No, we got 161. I don't think we can get to 200. Well, let's
get to 200 likes.
All right, we'll get to 200. I'll stay on till we get to 200 likes. Come on, guys. Can we get to 200 likes?
Tap the like button for us.
We got 163. You got to bear with me here, folks, until we get to 200 likes. 37 of you press the thumbs up thing. It looks like this, right? It'd really help. I'll ring the bell. We'll ring the bell. We are the exclusive club of people hanging out, talking about silver and gold on a Saturday night, right, Chris? I mean,
That's right.
Right? Most of us are probably sober, hanging out. What do we want to talk about? We love silver, we love gold, right? Here. I do own a little gold. I'll show you guys this. But we need, please press the thumbs up. We're at 182. We're at 182. I got to get up at 5 in the morning to go to that's a Wyoming Goldback. 1/1000th, of an ounce of gold. That was sent to me from my good friend Abram Taylor, which I much appreciate. We love our silver. We love our gold. Absolutely. What do you think is going to happen this week, Chris? Next week? We only need 15 more thumbs up, guys. Come on, man, please.
That's easy.
That's easy.
15 more.
13 more. What? When we're talking next Saturday, next Sunday, what do you think the silver price is going to be? I'm going to go on a limb. I think we're going to be at $27 silver. I'm not betting the life on it. I'm not giving financial advice, but I think we could see $27. I think we got some momentum.
Next week?
Yeah, by next Saturday.
Okay, I think you're a little high, but I'm going to say 25.75.
Did you just say you think I'm high?
No, I said I think you're a little high price there, but I guess I didn't said that. But
yeah. I haven't.
Ron, you are high, Ron. Yes, Ron. I did say that.
I'm high on silver and high on gold. That's what I get high on. Nothing against anybody that's high or having a few drinks tonight. More power to you. But I'm really, people have asked me, I'm like, nope, man, it's just, I get excited when I talk about silver and gold. I'm going to get more excited here because we're almost at 200 thumbs up, Chris. We're at 197. Wow. Three more. Oh, it went to 196. Now it's back at 197. Can you unthumb up? Oh, I bet somebody tried to thumb up and it took it off. So thank you for the effort, whoever that was. Giant Stadium, boom, 202. Yeah, we got it, Chris. We got it. The kids are sleeping. The kids are sleeping. The kids are sleeping because we got to go to a swim meet at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Hey, guys, seriously, thank you for being here on behalf of myself and Coin Shop Chris. Neil from Neil Hahn's Dynasty, thanks for your help. Go ahead, Chris.
Neil, thank you very much. If everybody can give tap 1 for Neil, tap 2 for Ron this time, I appreciate it.
And Mark Razor just put through a super chat. Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for being here on a Saturday night, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you don't like, if you send me an email if you don't like me saying this, but it can be lonely sometimes being a silver and gold investor, right? Like we aren't like hanging out with the herd a lot of the times. We're kind of blazing our own trail, pulling our head out of the sand, however you want to say it, dealing with some difficult subjects, right? Like we just want to, wouldn't it be nice just to be able to sit around and be like, well, everything will be okay. Everything's fine. Everything's, we're kind of riding that fine line. I don't know how you feel about that, Chris, between, we want to be positive. We want to be happy, but we also want to protect ourselves and want to protect our loved ones and our family, and provide, right? And that doesn't always involve just looking at happy, feel-good stories. So we're here for each other, right? We're a community. We hang out together. We help each other. We go back and forth, and that's a big, big deal. So
let me just say this one more thing before we sign off. The basement was done for to be, get every people involved, and we're like a family from far away. We could be any part of the world here.
Yeah.
Let's try to help. If you can answer a comment in the comment section, leave a comment, tap the like in each video, and let's help each other out. This is how we all learn.
Yep.
I've learned, Neil, Neil, you're not going to like me saying this, Neil, but, I've learned a lot from Neil about platinum. I've said that at the beginning, I'm going to say it at the end. There's nobody in this field, silver, gold, platinum, is an expert. Somebody will know more than you most of the time, but I'll tell you one thing, we can all learn from each other. And, I'm still learning.
Yep.
So that's why this when someone someone calls himself an expert, I'll pick up the coin book and I'll ask them how many of 1916 walking liberties were made, and they can't answer the question, but they call themselves an expert.
Right.
So, nobody's an expert in this.
We're all kind of walking down the path together, right? And sometimes I have the flashlight and I'm shining it on something and saying, "Hey, did you think about this?" Sometimes you're shining the flashlight. We're all doing it, we're all doing it for each other. The best I can hope for. This is not Ron Tube, okay? This is not Ron Tube. It's not Chris Tube. It's YouTube, right? It's all of us individually, but we come together and we have the opportunity to learn from each other.
Exactly. And I just want to thank everybody for joining us just tonight. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you for all the super chats.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome.
Yep. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Thank you.